The Performance Tour wouldn't be possible without our wonderful sponsors. So I'd like to thank Tricentis and QA Consultants for your support of the performance engineering community. Thank you. I am on a quest. I want to find out how to make software and hardware perform at their peak. I want to know how to make applications faster, better, and more efficient. And while I'm at it, I want to have a little fun. Don't think I can do it? Just watch me. I'm Scott Moore, and this is the Performance Tour. In this episode of the Performance Tour, it got so big, we had to actually break it up into 2 episodes because this is the first part of our Texas road trip in 2022. Check it out. On our way to the Texas road shows, we've made stops at Pensacola, Florida, Orange Beach, Alabama, St. Charles, Louisiana, before hugging the coast of Texas and seeing the beaches of Galveston. On our way up to Austin, we had to make a stop for barbecue, Joe's Barbecue in Alvin, Texas. Check them out. So I've made it all the way to Texas. What a trip from Florida. But you know, now that I'm in Texas, I realize that it's been about 2 years since I was here. The only thing that would make this a great trip even better is to have my friend James Pulley just walk in here and be part of this, because he was my road trip buddy for a long time.
Mr. Moore?
James Pulley, I was just talking about you.
What are you doing here?
I'm doing the same thing I was doing a couple of years ago. We're having barbecue and meeting with friends.
Barbecue? I'm in.
Come on in. Can you believe that? What a coincidence. So we're together again. So James, you're just traveling along like you were a couple of years ago, just going.
Yep. You know, hitching, enjoying the hobo lifestyle.
Always up for an adventure, I'm assuming.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what would you like to do first? We're in Texas. Where should we go?
We need to go to the most Texas of places.
Which is?
The Alamo.
Let's go to the Alamo. Sounds good to me. Hello everybody, we are at the Alamo where Davy Crockett took his last stand. And by the way, there's a jackhammer in the back and it loves to go off when I'm in the middle of talking. We're just gonna let it happen. So, what can we learn from the Alamo when it comes to performance and performance testing? Well, this is what is a result of what happens when you don't have enough resources. When you run out of resources, unfortunately, sometimes you lose the game. This is what we learned from the Alamo today. Let's go check it out.
Alamo was quite interesting. What did you think?
Well, just like a server under load, they ran out of resources.
So you got to think about that.
I'm a Uber geek. What can I say?
So we're still here in Texas, riding around, and what should we do next? What would make this trip even better?
Barbecue.
Barbecue. I say we go to barbecue.
Yes, absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. My name is James Pulley. I'm the Chief Performance Officer for QA Consultants. I have the privilege this evening to spend some time with Mr. Scott Moore, discussing software performance here in Austin, Texas.
My friend, James Pulley, says performance should be the first feature. Why is that?
If it doesn't scale, it doesn't matter what other feature is there. You can't get to it. The site is down. It's a 404. It's a 503. The feature may look beautiful. You may have this custom widget that no one has ever seen before, but nobody can touch it. Performance engineering is really looking at response time and how you use resources across all of these areas of the enterprise, not just isolated inside of two or more in quality assurance.
So I want to give you a chance to change his mind. Did anybody disagree with that after hearing what he had to say? 2 years ago in 2020, when we started talking about this, we had just breached the 50% mark, where on Black Friday, the majority now were shopping with mobile devices of some type. James and I did a special show on his show, News of the Damned, for Perf Bytes on Black Friday, this past one. And we're seeing a report from Deloitte saying it's now 70 to 71% of people purchasing things on mobile. So if you're in retail or you have a mobile audience and you know it, understand you should be building for that. What does that mean? It's not just about a pristine lab environment, pristine servers. It's all that other stuff that happens between. Some of it you can't control, but you have to develop for. 3G networks instead of 4G LTE. All the problems that can happen on a network to make it dirty and messy. Lost packets, bad routers, which protocol, how chatty is your application. All of those things from the ground up, more than just the code now. So just a developer thinking about, well, how fast does my code run? Just a DBA saying, how fast did the query run? How fast did the update run? You can no longer think that way. You have to think of everything that the mobile application touches.
Is AI ready for prime time for everybody? Probably not. But in specific conditions and use cases, it works pretty well. Most organizations that are engaged in performance testing efforts simply produce data. They produce a measurement of response time. Oftentimes, they're not even monitoring. How do you deliver value in that type of environment where the actual value of your performance test is in the analysis, the recommendations, and the implementation in the end? And that is a challenge for AI, and where it's actually being used successfully in the performance engineering universe is taking advantage of the ability to look at a large number of samples, derive patterns, and look at changes to the system that improve performance. Or if they don't, they make a change and it declines, they can roll back. But first movers in this market are going to have an enormous advantage moving forward, because the pattern library that they have built up over time will have cumulative effects versus newcomers in the market.
We're now at a point where, from a cloud perspective, everything's in the cloud being measured for the first time. Poor code practices, poor development, poor performant code by the line you can actually see a dollar sign associated with that. So you know the inefficient code cost you more, where it was hidden before because it was some server in a rack somewhere.
Who here is using Lambda functions in their code today? Who here knows what a Lambda function is? Okay, basically you're charged for every execution cycle of this code. So it's to your benefit to have the fastest possible code with the tightest possible language, hold on to resources for the shortest period of time. To Scott's note, we can now tie a particular cost to a particular developer in an organization. How would you like to be that developer whose code costs more than your salary?
How can I provide real, true business value to my client, which is the company that you work for? How can I make sure that I'm indisposable to this company? It's by providing the business value. And a lot of times, and I've been there, we get into all the technical stuff. We want to write the code. We like doing the technical stuff and adding all this stuff in. But the reason we're doing all of that is so that the business can make a judgment call. Have we reduced the risk? Should we go with this? Is there a showstopper? And how do we get that feedback as early as possible so we prevent it from costing so much? Just running a load test and nobody looking at a report and just providing some basic information without knowing the whys, it's in the long run, it's actually putting you in a worse situation for your career path. And so start thinking from a business value standpoint. You know, one thing I really love about doing this show is I have some great sponsors. You know, they fully respect thought leadership, and I can talk about whatever I want to talk about, whatever company I want to talk about, interview whoever I want. Hang on just a second. Hello? Hey, Darren, how are you doing? Yeah? What do you mean my sponsorship funds are in jeopardy?
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Neo load again. Just can't wait to use Neo load again. Life I love is testing websites with my friends. I can't wait to use Neo load again. Neo load again. Databases that are crumbling, causing defects I may never see again until I use old Neo load again. Neo load again causes crashes on the information highway. When the testing ends, the code won't be released and done the right way. So I say, Neo load again. Just can't wait to use Neo load again. All the DevOps admins suddenly are friends. I can't wait to use Neo load